Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bull Prospecting. Let's show you what we got in store for today. So here's what we got is a bunch of SMCs. This is what these are called that are on the motherboard, and I'll give you a kind of a close-up shot on what these look like. Now these are just a few different manufacturers, but the insides are generally the same. These are mostly gold with a little bit of silver and a little bit of copper. So these are pretty good for recovery. And if you do have just all SMCs like this, SMSCs, I would just do these all by themselves. But I have a big mixed batch, and we're going to do them all at once to see what we can get out of it. So let's weigh it up and see what we got. Okay, now let's turn the scale on here. Let that zero out. Let's take our bag of chips, and here's what they look like. Big old bag of chips. Alright, so we got 2 pounds. Looks like 2 pounds, 0.3 ounce of SMC chips. So, alright. Now the next step is pyrolysis. Let's get our can all set up and ready to go. Okay, guys, we were going to go to pyrolysis, but instead of that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these in AP. Now, this is not going to be a fast process. This is going to take time. So our first step is hopefully we can get the pyrolysis today. But if not, it would have to be first thing tomorrow. Because here's what we got to do first. A lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll take their time and they'll go ahead and they'll cut these little fingers off, because they're like copper and silver plated, and you know, it's just a bunch of junk you don't want in your melting dish or your solution. So they'll cut these off with a knife, but we have a whole bunch of them, and we don't want to spend all that time cutting these off if we can, you know, do it in a quicker way. So we're going to do what's called an AP process, which is acid peroxide. And I have a certain type of peroxide that I use, the oxidize, and I'm not worried about anything going in, you know, any gold going in the solution or anything like that, because the gold is locked up inside the plastic matrix. So the acid won't be able to touch it. So when we get these out, you know, you kind of see these now. Let me move them around for you. But you see how, you know, these wires are on there. And, you know, you can see some of the copper in there. We don't want any of that stuff in our mix. So this one, because the top got busted, more than likely that copper is going to disappear. That'll actually end up going into solution. But for the most part, we want to get rid of all these legs and stuff, because they can be a pain in the butt, and we want to do it kind of quick. So let's go for it. Okay, guys, here's what I use. Basically, this is just an industrial strength, what you call it there. Let me see. Let me just get you the instructions here just so you can see for yourself. It's basically hydrogen peroxide, an industrial strength hydrogen peroxide, and then, which is our oxidizer, right? And then we have our muriatic acid, which is, you know, just a different wording for hydrochloric. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add mostly muriatic acid and just a little bit of the peroxide to get the reaction started. Now, I'm going to try to do this all with one hand, so bear with me. I've been trying to make sure I keep the camera in landscape mode so everybody at home has a better view. So here we go. Okay, so here's our bucket. And it doesn't matter that it's got a little bit of crap in the bottom. That's what I actually used for my last video. So here's our 2 pounds of chips right there. And we're just gonna dump them in like that. You're gonna wanna make sure you're outside when you do this. You definitely don't wanna be inside. This is bad news. Oh wow, what's this? Okay, let's get this off of there. That'll just come off anyways. I'll pull that out when it's time. That'll all disconnect. Let's see, we got some nice ones in there, huh? Try to zoom in on this so you can see. But this is what we got. 2 pounds, 0.3 ounces. Now it's time to dump our solution in. Now this one's almost gone, and what I like to do is I can reuse these over and over again. So let's go ahead and dump this in. You just got to cover the top of them, that's all. There's no reaction yet. And save all your old jugs, because you want to be able to fill them back up. Down to jug 2. Go ahead and pause this. Okay, now we're going to pour some more in there. You just want to cover the top, that's all. Shake this down. Alright. Now I gotta add a little bit of oxidizer. Now we got the hydrochloric in there, just basically covering them up, covering up the chips. Now I'm going to pour the hydrogen peroxide in there and get out of Dodge. I only need a little bit. Just a little dab will do you, maybe 2 or 3 shot glasses worth. Okay, now we just got to let it happen. We'll come back and check it in like 5 minutes. As you can see, it's only been a couple seconds and the water's already turning green. The more I put in there, the quicker it's going to work. So now we just got to let this sit. It's going to let this sit for about an hour or 2. And come back and we should have nice clean chips. Okay guys, this is literally 5 minutes in, not even. I'd say maybe 3 minutes. Look at that. Quick, you know, see what I'm saying? You can actually see the reaction now. That's so much faster than scraping each and every individual piece. Okay guys, now what we need to do is we need to come up with a permanent pyrolyzation can. The one I had before was made out of sweet potato cans and they don't really last too long. So we need to, you know, make something a little bit more permanent. What I'm choosing to use here is a Mapp gas cylinder, which is empty. And how I do that is I just basically stick a stick in there, or what I'll do is I'll leave my top on it all night with it wide open just to ensure it's completely empty. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut a top off of this so I can go ahead and get my holes drilled and all there so we can have a little exit point for the gases. So let's go ahead and get to the next step. Okay guys, so now while the chips are soaking, I made basically a pyrolyzing station, which is a nice thick Mapp gas can. And what I've done is, so I can fit the top back on, is I've cut 4 slices down both sides all the way up to where the seam is, and then basically all you got to do, this thing fits on there just like this. Just like that. And then all you got to do after that is throw your stainless steel collar on, and then toss it in the fire. So hopefully this thing will be big enough. But now we have a set pyrolyzing station that we can reuse over and over and over and over and over again. So we're going to put this thing to work. So super simple. All I needed was a nice Sawzall first, making sure this was completely empty by sticking something in the top there. What I did is, just to ensure it was empty, is I put my blowtorch top on it, clicked it on, and left it open all night long outside. So I knew, and I left it upside down and all that to make sure all the stuff was out of it. Cut it open, and then I went ahead and made little expansion seams so I could just fit that top right back on there, and then close it up with the collar. Now there's a reason there's a little bit of room here. This is an expansion chamber, so as the gases from the chip start to break down, they expand in here, coming out the sides, and then are incinerated. So that's our tool, and we are going to put it to some use. So let's go see how our chips are doing. Hey guys, so it's been about an hour. I did add some more peroxide to it to kind of boost it up a little bit, but we're going to call that good so we can get to pyrolyzing. I'd have to say at least 95% is all done. So let's go ahead and get to the next step and rinse these off. What I got to do is then pour it into this blue container and rinse these bad boys off. Hey guys, there's the finished product. As you can see, here's the SMC. Try to zoom in on that for you. You see, look at those, where those legs were. Look at how clean that is. Now, yeah, I could have cut them off with a knife, but I'm not going to get them that clean. Look at that, man. Look at that. It's freaking nice. Nice and clean. Took about an hour. So while I was letting these do their thing, I was go ahead and look at that. I mean, I may have a couple stragglers here and there, but for the most part, they're clean, man. I'm running, I'd say 95%. Let's see what we had, that weird one that was in here that was stuck. See, the rest of it, all that'll just come off. This is that one that had that chip to it. So look at that, man. All the fingers are gone. And look how nice and clean they are. So this is going to be way better for processing, and this may help our yields out also, because now we have way less crap in the mix. So, all right, guys, there it is. I'll zoom in for you so you can take a nice, good look at them. But look at that, huh? AP's where it's at, man. Look at that. All them on 2 pounds. An hour. All gone. All right, so now it's time to set up for pyrolyzation. Let's do it to it. Okay, guys, so now we just got to load up our pyrolyzation can. Pop this off. And now what I'm going to do, because I can't hold the camera and feed this in at the same time, is I'll put these all in there and then show you what it's like. And then put the top down and get her all cooking up for you. So, here we go. Okay, guys, unfortunately, I wasn't able to fit all 2 pounds in here. So, you know, we're pretty close to the 2 pound mark, but that's as much as I could fit in there, and I'm not going to go ahead and fill it past those expansion holes because we need them. So there's still quite a bit of material in here, and, you know, if we got to do 2 batches, we got to do 2 batches. So let's go ahead and seal it up and put on our top. Okay, so I know the weights are going to be a little off, but here's what I couldn't fit in the can, so this is going to at least give us a rough idea. I hope I can fit it all on here. Okay, that's not bad. Out of 2 pounds, there was 9 ounces I couldn't fit in there, which ain't bad at all. But you know what? I don't have the bag, so. But anyways, that's still not bad. But look at these. They're all nice and clean and ready to go for the next run. So what I'll do is I'll process these and then go ahead and then run these guys next. And I just noticed this. Oh, wow. Those are gold. And, oh, wow. Those are nice gold. That's why it's still there. There's any more like that. Nope. They're all nice and clean, so let me go ahead and throw these in the can, and we'll, after the first batch is pyrolyzed, we'll toss these guys in next so we can get a, stay with the first original 2 pounds of material. Okay, guys, so there's our can. We got the top on. We got our pressure fitting on. Now it's just time to toss it on the fire and let it go. So that's the next step. It's time to pyrolyze it. Here we go. Okay, guys, now it's time to start the fire. We got our pyrolyzing can all filled up with the top locked in place. We got it filled up just below this line, so we have plenty enough room for our gases to expand. And I have 1 bag of nice dried timber. I got some ash, some maple, little locust, and a bunch of fine stuff to get her started. And what I'm going to attempt is to try to do this with 1 bag of wood fuel. So I'm trying to get everything down to workable amounts so I can keep track of my time, how many chips did I process, how much gold did I get out of it, how much solution did I use to recover it. I'm trying to get everything down to a workable pattern so people at home can have a 1, 2, 3 process for themselves. That's an easy process. So I'm going through all this stuff so you guys don't have to. But this right here works great, and we're going to get it started right now. Okay, guys, so what I've done is in the very bottom, I put a bunch of small chips, cedar chips. I had some maple. I had some little pieces of locust and some ash and a bunch of really good birch, a bunch of really good dried burnable stuff. And then I had a bunch of little cut pieces that I actually cut for this reason. Now, the reason I like to do pyrolyzation is because it's environmentally friendly, and I'll explain why. Now, these plastic chips, what happens as I heat these up, the gases start to build up in this upper chamber, the expansion chamber. As they start to build up, they have no place to go, and it starts to get pushed out these holes. As it's getting pushed out these holes, because there's fire around it and it's so hot, it combusts the gas. So this way there's no particles or anything like that getting to the environment. It's 100% incineration. And I like doing it like this, and I find this is a good way also to ensure you get all your chips. Now, the tools I need for this job is my handheld blowtorch, my leaf blower, and a pair of tongs. Because what you want to do is you want to shake this thing around in a little bit just to make sure everything's nice and pyrolyzed inside there, so that when you get to the next step, it works out great. Now let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up. Let me fire this thing up and then we'll turn it back on. Okay, we're almost there. Just wanted to show you this cool little feature. Look at how it's just burning up all that gas. And you guys are probably saying, okay, Ken, how do we know when it's done? So how you know when it's done is you'll have no more gases coming out of there, no smoke, nothing. There'll be no steam, heat, flame. There'll be nothing coming out of them holes. That's how you know you're 100% pyrolyzed and ready to go to the next step. Look at that though, man. Isn't that awesome? I tell you, this is great. It keeps everything enclosed. It's you don't really, you're not losing a lot. I mean, you're not losing anything going it this way. And then I'll show you guys the next step after this. But this is how I do it, and I find it to be highly effective. There is no fume smell, no plastic smell, nothing. This is how you do it. Yeah, the can, once you get it to a certain temperature, once you get it hot enough, the flames just go by themselves as they come out the hole. The gases just ignite themselves. Alright guys, we're going to finish pyrolyzation, and then we'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay guys, it's all done. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this drill right here. It'll go ahead and pop that collar off and take the top off, and then go ahead and get it to the next step. There it is. Now off to the next step. Okay, now what I've done here is I got an old propane tank. This used to be my tumbler, but my motor broke, so I do it by hand now until I can get another one fixed up. And then all I do, dump them in there just like that. And contrary to popular belief, they all don't need to be white. They just need to be heated to the point of being able to be crushed with no problem. Kind of just like when you heat a rock. Same principle. Now, I'll show you guys what the next step is here. Okay, now what I have here is this is actually an old gate weight. This is a cantilever gate. You can see the nub there. This was actually so when you pressed down on your latch, this would fall and the gate would automatically open. And it was an old tear down that we did, but I kept the ball from it and I use it for this. Now all I gotta do is basically just roll this thing around like this and crunch them all up, and I'm going to do that now. Now what I like to do is after I grind them up a little bit, I like to toss them back on the fire one more time and hit them with the blower, and then stir all this stuff around just to ensure everything is pyrolyzed. It's just, since you're here, you might as well, you know. So I leave it right inside there and just go ahead and just heat everything back up. But if you already got the fire, you might as well. Alright, we're going to do this little process, and then we'll go ahead and finish crushing it up. Okay guys, the next part is I have to take the material from here and then dump it through the screen so I can separate all the big stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to take this material and put it in that screen. Okay, so after I classified it through the big screen, I then go ahead and classify it one more time through a smaller screen so that I have less foreign objects in my material, and you know, there's very little to any gold left in that stuff right there. But now all the stuff we want is now in this bucket, and you can see how nice and fine that is. And so what we got to do is now just rinse this off, get it down, get rid of all the ash, and then go ahead and treat it so we can start the recovery process. Alright, so here we go. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to add a little bit of jet dry here. It's a surfactant. Helps drop any fine sediments down to the bottom. And now we're going to go rinse it off. And basically all I do here is I just let it run. Basically all I do is I just let this run until the water is clear. There it is, guys. I'm trying to get a zoomed in shot, but look at that gold, man. That's a good amount. See if I can zoom in on this. There we go. Look at that, man. That is a lot of gold. All right, now it's time to get it out of this jar and into a solid. All right, here we go. Okay guys, so now it's time to put it into solution. I'm going to go and I'll fill it up to 600 mLs. And we're going to let that go. And we're going to add some nitric acid. Okay guys, I wasn't able to use the heat today. And we're still dissolving, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to precipitate out tonight because it might get too dark. So I'm going to have to go ahead and move this closer, a closer location. So I ain't got to walk out so far. But it's almost done. Okay guys, so here's what we got going on. Here's the filter. I'm not going to be able to show you me pouring the solution into the filter because I need both hands. But basically the liquid you just saw is going to get poured through here, and then we're going to go ahead and collect the liquid. That's what we want. Then what I have here is I took some urea pearls and I crunched them up and diluted them in water. So we have some urea to neutralize our acid. And I tell you, this stuff, you got to be careful because if you let it sit too long, it'll start to crystallize on you again. So, all right, time to filter it. Okay, guys, it's all filtered. Now we got to denox it. What I've done is I took just regular urea pearls and dissolved them in water. It took a while because I had to crunch them up. Now you got to do this really slow. Add it little by little. Now let me go ahead and get my stir that around. The reason I'm adding it slowly is I don't want to have it fuzz over. Now I have 2 spoonfuls of sodium metabisulfate, 2 big spoonfuls and a little clip of sodium metabisulfate diluted in water. just get the rest of this debris out of here. Got some loose stuff in there. Chuck that in there real quick. So now, all I gotta do is just wait for everything to precipitate out and fall to the bottom. Then we'll go ahead and collect up our sediment and then put it into aquaresia. Alright guys, it's the next day. You can see how clear that solution is. See how you can see like right through it? Let me kind of show you. Kind of see how you can see the lighter right through it. And you can see my hand and everything. That's how you know you're good to go. We're not concerned with the crystallization on the side. That's actually due from the urea starting to reform crystals. But now all we got to do is siphon this off and get our sediment. Alright guys, as you can see, all the gold has been dissolved. There is no more gold in there at all. It's all now in a liquid form out of this menagerie. And now it's just time to get it out of solution. But how awesome is that, dude? Look at that. It's all from chips, all dissolved. I don't have to mess with none of this crap now. It's all just carbon. How cool is that, man? How cool is that? All the gold, I shook the hell out of it. So if there was any gold, it would all pile up right there in the corner. And it is barren, which is a great, great sign. So, now it's time to precipitate this one and then put our batches together. Okay guys, it's finally done. And we have our gold. And now what we want to do is before we go melting anything down, we want to get it to a high purity. And this is still has some crap in it, so we want to get this as close to 24 as we can. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this right into aquaresia and get a real, pure gold at the end of it all. So let's go ahead and measure out what we need and get to the next step. Just zoom in on that for you. See how black that is? When it's done, it should be like a nice golden brown. So here we go. Okay guys, now what I have here is I got 50 milliliters of hydrochloric and about 12 milliliters of nitric acid. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pour the hydrochloric in first. Oops, sorry. There we go. And the next step is the nitric acid. And right away, you can already see it's going into solution. Well, we're going to let this do its thing. and then filter it out. This is where you need a gas mask. You got a nice reaction going on there. Real nice. We should get some nice pure gold out of this. Look at that, man. Okay, we got our gold all dissolved. Now we gotta filter it out and then denox it. So let's go ahead and start filtering this out. Now, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this, so I'm gonna filter this out and then show you what it's doing in the filter. Hey guys, now it's time to denox the solution. I've got some urea dissolved here. I'm going to go ahead and pour this in. Let this stir around. Now we just got to add some sodium metabisulfate. Okay guys, now it's time to add the sodium metabisulfate. Okay, just gonna let that do its thing. Well, it's all precipitated out, but I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but there is gold stuck to the glass. I don't even know how that happened. So, probably going to have to use a little bit of hydrochloric to get that off of there. But how crazy is that, man? That looks cool, right? It's kind of a pain in the butt, though, honestly. So, now I just got to get this liquid out of there and get all this stuff off the sides and collect our sediment and melt it down. But how crazy is that, man? I never had gold precipitate on a glass like that. I don't know what the hell happened. So I'm going to check this solution and make sure there's no gold in it. Okay guys, there it is. All the sediments dropped to the bottom and also collected on the side. I'm going to use hydrochloric to get that off of there. As you can see, there's a good amount on the side there. You can kind of see it right here. Now what I'm going to use is I got a siphon here with water already inside of it. And I'm going to use that to take it from here into my little yellow bucket and then dump it in the stock pot, which will be the silver cell. So that's what we're going to do. So here we go. Okay, there it is. All our sediment is falling to the bottom. And now we should be at least, 925 purity. So let's go ahead, get this liquid out of there, and collect our sediment, and melt it down. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right in the very bottom, I'm going to try to zoom in. If you look, you'll see microscopic particles, which they very well could be silver nanoparticles or gold nanoparticles, just kind of fluttering to the outside. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep those particles because they're such a fine granular structure. They'll form square patterns, reflective patterns like what you see inside of opal. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to make a crystal that kind of has that's very light refracting. So I'm going to save these particles here that's in the bottom of this beaker and use them to make my crystal. So we're going to save that stuff. Alright guys, there's the finished product. And the reason it doesn't have a brown lustrous color is due to the carbon. It acts like an ink and it almost like stains everything. So I did sprinkle a little bit of baking soda on there. That's what that white stuff is. And you can see once the baking soda starts to mix with it, you can almost see a brown color start to pop out. So that's just to help us boost up our oxygen levels in there. Now we're going to go ahead and fold this up, melt it down. Okay guys, I got my filter, and then I threw the cotton right on top of it with a little bit of baking soda. Now we're going to go ahead and melt it down. there it is, all done. Alright, let's see what this is. Ooh, almost a gram. Almost a gram. So close. So close. But, you know, again, we were a little shy of a pound, so that's still really good. You know. But 0.89. Just double confirm. Yep, 0.89 is what it is.